All stories are shared with care. To protect privacy, some names and identifying details may be changed when the storyteller prefers to remain anonymous. If you'd like your story to be featured, reach out via our official Instagram page or email us. We would love to hear from you.
How was I supposed to face Prakriti or Chandni now? I had no idea what to do. That same night, Prakriti called me. At first, I didn't pick up, but when she called again, I hesitated, then finally answered. "Why weren't you picking up?" she asked. I thought she would ask why I left so suddenly. I was about to cook, so I didn't notice. I lied. There was silence for a moment, then she spoke, her voice softer this time. "What happened at the hall? It shouldn't have happened. I'm so sorry. It wasn't just her fault, it was mine too. I knew she liked me and I didn't feel the same. I was only attracted to her, and I had known that all along." Still, I said something I hadn't planned to say. "I like Chandni." I didn't know why I said it. Maybe I just needed to. "I know," she replied. "She likes you too, but she doesn't say it." Chandni likes me too? She had known all along, but if she knew, why had she done what she did in the hall? Why had she tried to get close to me? But then again, I wasn't innocent either. I should have stopped it. Thoughts kept racing through my mind. I should have felt happy knowing Chandni liked me too, but I didn't. Not after what had happened. I knew how close you both were, Prakriti continued, but I couldn't stop myself today. She was trying to explain herself. "It's okay," I finally said. "I should have stopped too." "Okay, I won't think about it either. Let's just forget it ever happened and stay friends." With that, she hung up. "Thank God, at least," she said. That much, it lifted a weight off my chest. But now, a bigger question loomed over me. Should I tell Chandni? I wanted to start something new with her, but if I began with a lie, I knew it wouldn't last. So no matter what happened, if I was serious about her, I had to start with honesty. Taking a deep breath, I dialed her number. The moment she picked up, she started teasing me. "What happened? Did the movie last that long?" she joked, but I wasn't in the mood. With all the courage I had, I told her everything without hesitation, without any delay. Silence. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then, in a quiet, sad voice, she finally said, "Oh, okay. I have some work to do. I'll call you later." And before I could say anything, she hung up. I knew she didn't have any work left to do. She just didn't want to talk to me. It was obvious. If she had done something like this with another guy, I would have been speechless too. She said she would call soon, but a week had already passed and she still hadn't. With college closed for the board exams, there was no chance to meet her or talk things out. I didn't call her either. I felt it was my mistake. So the decision to move forward was hers. Maybe she needed time and I was willing to give her that. Eventually, I stopped counting days. Our board exam dates were still uncertain, but I had started going through my books. Then, one day, my phone rang. It was right beside me. I glanced at the screen. Chandni. My heart raced as I quickly picked up the call. "How are you?" she asked, though she didn't really need to. Maybe that was just her way of starting the conversation. "Yes, I'm fine. And you?" I was already feeling lighter just hearing her voice. "No idea when the exams will start. Let's go somewhere." That was all she said, but I was over the moon. Maybe she had decided to move past my mistake and give us a chance. "Okay, where are we going? And when?" "Let's go to Chitlang, 4 or 5 of us." For a moment, a small worry crept in. Was Prakriti coming too? I knew nothing would happen since we'd be in a group, but the thought still lingered. I had to ask, "Who else is going?" She hesitated slightly before replying, "I have a friend from my previous college, and you can bring some of your friends too. It won't be fun if it's just the 2 of us." Thank God Prakriti wasn't coming. But the fact that she even considered the 2 of us going alone, that meant something. It reassured me maybe she was willing to move past what had happened. After all, when you truly like someone, you don't let go so easily. "Okay, I'll tell Avinash too and we'll go." No matter how many people I talked to, Avinash was the only one I truly considered a close friend. "All right," she said. Then, after a pause, she added, "I have something to tell you. I'll tell you when we get there." "What is it? You can tell me now. How was I supposed to wait that long?" "No, not now," she said playfully. "Suspense again?" "It's not like that, but you can think of it that way if you want." There was something different in her voice when she said that. What if she wanted to say she liked me too? Just the thought of it made me blush. I asked Avinash about the trip and he was excited to go as well. We quickly realized that traveling by bus wouldn't give us the flexibility to stop wherever we wanted, so we decided to go by bike. That way, we could take a scenic route through the Kulekhani Dam, stay overnight, and have breakfast the next morning before heading back. But this wasn't just our decision to make. Since the girls were coming along, their comfort and safety were our top priority, so I asked Chandni for her thoughts. She had no objections to staying overnight, and when I mentioned going by bike, she sounded even more excited. Yes, let's go by bike. I have never traveled on a bike before, she said eagerly. With her approval, the plan was set in motion. We created a group chat on Messenger with the 4 of us to coordinate the details. We decided to leave on Sunday at 8 a.m. when the weather wouldn't be too cold. The plan was to return through Furping on Monday around 10 a.m. Everyone agreed. Chandni's friend's name was Anusha. When I first saw her photo, a fleeting thought crossed my mind. Are all of Chandni's friends this pretty? Or was it just that having spent my time in an engineering college, I wasn't used to seeing many girls, let alone noticing who's pretty? But I shook the thought away. I had already made up my mind. I wouldn't look at any other girl besides Chandni. I just needed one perfect moment to express my feelings to her. And this trip felt like the opportunity. Avinash, on the other hand, seemed to take an immediate liking to Anusha. This trip was shaping up to be even more interesting. Finally, Sunday arrived. We had decided to meet at our college at 7:30 a.m. since it was a convenient location for everyone. Avinash and I met at Gungabu Chowk at 7:15, then headed straight to the college's back gate. We thought that we had arrived, but when we got there, they were already waiting. Chandni introduced her friend to us. Even though we had already chatted on Messenger, it was more of a formality, so we smiled and responded with a simple hi. And just like that, our trip began. Both of them had done a little makeup and wore pretty outfits. While Avinash and I stuck to our usual casual clothes, we had a habit of wearing whatever was comfortable when we traveled. Since we didn't know the route very well, Avinash opened GPS on his phone, seated Anusha on his bike, and then led the way. Chandni took support of my shoulder as she got on my bike. I glanced at her, smiled, and then I followed Avinash. The weather was crisp and chilly. The sun had yet to rise and the girl I liked was sitting right behind me. Everything about that moment felt perfect. Chandni, however, soon started shivering. It's so cold, she murmured from behind me. She had worn a coat, but it wasn't enough to shield her from the biting wind as we rode. Not wanting her to suffer, I slowed the bike down a little. Avinash, noticing this through his mirror, adjusted his speed accordingly. As we rode, I kept glancing at Avinash and Anusha. They were chatting and laughing, completely lost in their own world. To tease them, I occasionally pulled up beside them and smirked. Having fun? Anusha would giggle, while Avinash would shoot me a glance, signaling with his eyes and hand to get lost. My hands are freezing, Chandni said, rubbing them together. Then she started searching for pockets in my jacket. Don't you have pockets? Yes, I do, I replied, unzipping the jacket slightly on both sides. She slid her hands into my jacket pockets, sighing in relief. Now it's a little warm, she said. I couldn't stop smiling. She rested her head gently on my back, and at that moment, I wished the road would never end. As we rode, we slowly entered the dense jungle of Dakshin Kali, winding our way uphill. The cold had become a little more bearable, so we picked up speed. At 20 to 30 km per hour, we would have reached our destination by nightfall, so we cautiously increased it to 40 to 50 km per hour, ensuring we didn't take any unnecessary risk on the highway. Whenever the scenery was breathtaking, Chandni would take videos. If she wanted to capture a photo, she'd tap on my shoulder and ask me to stop. We took our breaks at a few spots to click pictures before finally reaching Kulekhani. From the road, we could see the lake nestled between two hills, a serene and stunning sight. By then, it was already 1 p.m. and hunger was gnawing at us. We hadn't spotted any shops along the way, and thankfully Chandni had carried a water bottle. After riding a little further, we finally came across a few roadside hotels. We picked one, freshened up, and ordered 4 khana sets. Then we headed upstairs where we had a perfect view of Kulekhani. Maybe it was because we were starving, or maybe the view made everything better, but the food tasted absolutely delicious. After lunch, we went boating on the lake, soaking in the peaceful surroundings. Before heading to Chitlang Resort, Avinash had already taken care of our room bookings. By the time we finished boating and taking photos, it was 5 p.m. and the winter sky was already turning dark. Without wasting time, we rode straight to the resort, reaching around 6:30 p.m. The place was lively. Some people were singing, others dancing. As we entered, a staff member welcomed us and guided us to our cottage. Normally, 10 people shared one cottage, but since there weren't many reservations that night, they arranged a private one just for the 4 of us. After freshening up, we headed for dinner. The other guests were already eating, so we joined them. As we finished our meal, one of the staff members approached us. "Would you like to have a campfire tonight?" she asked. We eagerly agreed. The other group had already enjoyed one the night before, so tonight the fire was just for us, making it even more special. "Okay, stay here. We'll start the campfire in a while," he said before leaving. The 4 of us stayed back, chatting and laughing. Soon, Anusha and Avinash got lost in their own conversations while Chandni and I spoke separately. I suddenly remembered she had told me that she had something to share. "Didn't you say you had something to tell me?" I asked, looking at her expectantly. "Oh right, I almost forgot," she said. "You can tell me now," I encouraged her. "I'm going abroad," she said, her tone neutral but firm. "Abroad? Where?" "I'm waiting for my Australian visa." And just like that, everything clicked. That's why she had been missing college and leaving early. "When are you going?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Maybe in Shravan if I get the visa." "But you've already joined college," I said, confused. I had applied to Canada before, but I didn't get selected, so I decided to stay here for a while. "But once you make up your mind to leave, it doesn't really matter where, you just want to go," she said, staring into the fire. This was what she wanted to tell me. I should have been happy for her, but for some reason I wasn't. And in that moment, I lost all the courage I had mustered to tell her how I felt. In front of us, Avinash and Anusha were giggling, lost in their own world. He had progressed even if I hadn't. They were already sitting close, his arm casually draped around her. I didn't even know he was this forward. The staff had started lighting the fire for the campfire. It was around 9 p.m. and most people had already retreated to their cottages. A few remained outside, huddled together. As the flames crackled to life, we pulled our chairs closer to the warmth. Someone brought out a guitar, shifting the mood instantly. The quiet murmurs turned into cheerful singing. Laughter echoed in the crisp night air, and someone suggested starting a barbecue. More people joined in, about 15 to 17 in total. Some standing, some sitting, all soaking in the moment. Chandni was beside me, wrapped in a shawl, her hands clapping in rhythm with the music. She looked happy, carefree. I just watched her, memorizing the way she smiled. Avinash and Anusha were lost in their own little world, and for once I wished I had the same courage. As time passed, people started leaving. When the guy with the guitar finally yawned and said he was heading to bed, the crowd slowly thinned. Soon it was just the 4 of us. By now it was 11 p.m. The big logs in the fire had burned down to glowing embers, still warm from the front, but the cold creeping in from behind. Avinash stood up, stretching. "Are we not going?" he asked. "Yes, we are," I said. "Okay, I'm leaving first," he said, and Anusha followed him through the cottage. Silence. The only sound left were the soft crackling of the embers and the distant chirping of insects. "Let's go," Chandni finally said. I smirked. Let the new couple have their moment alone. She smiled too. A few seconds passed, then out of nowhere she got up from her chair and sat on my lap. I froze. I just looked at her, wide-eyed, completely caught off guard. And in that moment, with the last embers of the fire glowing around us, nothing else mattered. "And we'll just sit here alone?" she asked, wrapping her shawl around me too. She was nestled on my lap, her arms draped around my neck. Her back rested against one side of the chair's armrest while her legs stretched over the other. If I were to stand up, she would fit perfectly in my arms. I had no answers to her question. Instead of speaking, I just looked at her, and she looked back at me. Maybe what I couldn't say with words, my eyes were saying for me, and maybe, just maybe, she understood. Silence. Our eyes spoke in ways our lips couldn't. Slowly she shifted, her legs lowered towards the ground, her head tilted slightly forward. The silence between us deepened. Not even our eyes spoke now. The only sounds were the distant hum of insects and her quickening breath. Her breath was warmer than the dying embers before us. And then it happened. My first ever kiss with Chandni. It was like stepping into another world, a place I had never been before. I had kissed Prakriti in the hall before, but it had never felt like this. This was different. This was real. For a moment, we were lost in our own universe. Words weren't needed. We spoke in glances and touches, in the quiet understanding that neither of us wanted this moment to end. Eventually, reality returned. She gazed at me with those beautiful eyes, and I looked back, wondering if she felt the same way I did. Her lips, soft and rose pink, curved into a small smile. Then she leaned in, brushed a gentle peck on my lips, and whispered, "I love you." She had said the very words I had longed to tell her, the words I had been too afraid to say. "I love you more," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. And then, just like that, our story began. There in Chitlang, under the vast night sky, with the last embers of the fire fading into darkness, we became something more. It was around midnight and the cold had finally crept in. With the fire now completely burned out, we decided to head back to our cottage. We thought Avinash and Anusha would still be awake, talking late into the night, but when we arrived, they were already asleep. Avinash sprawled out on the floor, Anusha curled up on the bed. Chandni and I exchanged a glance before quietly finding our places. I lay down beside Avinash, and while Chandni slipped onto the bed next to Anusha. Even in the dark, I could see her looking at me, and she smiled. I smiled back. At some point, exhaustion took over and I drifted off to sleep, the journey catching up to me. When I woke up, it was already 8 a.m. Avinash was sitting up, sipping his tea, scrolling through his phone. Chandni wasn't in the room. "You're finally awake," I heard Avinash say. "Go get your tea." "Where's Chandni?" I asked, stretching. "They went outside," he replied. I got up, freshened up, and went to grab tea, bringing back another cup for Avinash. By the time we finished, Chandni and Anusha had returned. One of the staff members from last night approached us asking if we wanted to go sightseeing, but we had to leave after breakfast, so we declined. The morning sun was already high, chasing away the cold. As we left the resort, Chandni sat behind me, her arms wrapped around my waist. In front of us, Avinash and Anusha had already started chatting. On the way back, we didn't stop anywhere, making the journey feel shorter. By 1 p.m., we had already reached Balkuchok. We dropped Avinash and Anusha off at Baneshwar before continuing our way back. Chandni and I started talking more after that day. On our way back, we didn't stop anywhere, making the journey feel shorter. By 1 p.m., we had already reached Balkuchok. We dropped Avinash and Anusha off at Baneshwar before continuing our way back. Chandni and I started talking more after that day. Like every other relationship, ours began to take shape. Even though exams were approaching, we still found time to meet. We would go to the nearby places and talk for hours. She often made a list of 4 or 5 places she wanted to visit after the exams, and I always went along with her plans. And just like that, the exams arrived. Since our exams were on different days, we didn't get to meet during that period. But once they were over, we had a 15-day holiday. During those 2 weeks, we met every single day. Sometimes she would get calls from some consultancy. I never really knew which one. And whenever she had to go, I went with her. During those 15 days, we explored almost every place we could think of. Godavari, the Garden of Dreams, Nagarkot, Bhaktapur, Singletree Hill, Swayambhu, Pashupatinath Temple, Shivapuri, Chandragiri, White Kumbha, and many more spots around Kathmandu. If we ever missed a place, we made sure to visit it after college on Fridays. Sometimes she would take me to meet her closest friends. We created memories in every place, every hidden alley, every turn we took together. If we just wanted to talk for hours, we'd head to a cafe in Vasantapur or settle down at a small tea shop nearby. She never used to drink milk tea, but after we started going together, she slowly picked up the habit. As time passed, we grew even closer. I started calling her Ta, a term used for someone younger or very dear to us. But she still called me Tapai, a word reserved for someone older or respected. It wasn't that I didn't respect her. Calling her Ta just felt more intimate, more natural, and she liked it too. We had grown so close in such a short time. We shared everything with each other. There were no secrets between us. She accepted me for who I was, just as I had accepted her. She never spoke to any other boys, let alone teased them, while I, on the other hand, talked to other girls freely. In fact, I even taught her how to tease. If we were together and someone messaged her, I'd show her how to reply with a playful haha, making the conversation light and funny. She'd follow my advice and we'd laugh together at the text. "See how boys are," she'd say, shaking her head with amusement. I still remember that night at exactly 12:25 a.m. when she called me, her voice overflowing with excitement. "My visa got approved," she said, unable to contain her joy. She had been waiting for this moment for so long, growing anxious with every passing day, so her happiness was natural. But for me, it was bittersweet. She had become such a big part of my life, a habit, a constant presence, and now she was going to leave. Still, I didn't want to dampen her mood. She was so happy, almost floating with excitement. She asked me to meet her that night, saying she would book a movie at Civil Mall, but after what had happened with Prakriti in the same mall, I didn't want to go there, so I asked her to book somewhere else instead. Ever since her visa was granted, we had started watching movies more often than traveling. It was fun, and it gave us more time to talk. Just the two of us, lost in our own little world. Our family had booked her flight for Asar 10. They had made all the necessary arrangements, where she would stay, whom she would be with, so she had nothing to worry about. Since she was free, she would come to meet me after my classes. But as the day passed and her departure grew closer, her family members started arriving in Kathmandu. Her sister had come earlier, and with her family around, we couldn't meet as often. Still, no matter how busy she was, she always found a way to see me after my classes, even if it was just for a short while. The day before she was set to leave, she had asked me to meet her in Basantapur. I waited in the college library until she called. Around 4 p.m. my phone rang. I picked her up at Banishore and we went straight to the cafe nearby. We ordered 2 coffees and started talking. After a while, she reached into her bag and pulled something out. Handing it to me, she said, "This is a gift for you, something to remember me by." I was about to put it in my bag when she stopped me. "Open it now," she insisted with a smile. I chuckled and unwrapped the gift. It was a watch. "Give it to me, I'll put it on for you." She took the watch, gently pulled my hand and fastened it around my wrist. "Now you'll remember me every time you look at it," she said, laughing. I lifted my hand and showed it to her. "How does it look?" "It's a little big," she observed, "but you should get it adjusted to fit your size." I smiled and reached into my own bag. I had bought her a watch too, along with a flex print of our photo. It was wrapped carefully, just like she did. I fastened the watch on her wrist. She took my hand, placed her beside it, and took a picture of both our watches. I didn't let her open the photo yet. "Open it later," I told her. It was a picture she hadn't seen before, a candid moment of us, hand in hand, talking and laughing in Kulekhani, captured by Avinash. Before we knew it, it was already 7 p.m. Her family had started calling, reminding her it was time to come home. We had no choice but to leave. I dropped her off at Banishore and watched as she walked away. "We'll talk on Messenger," she said before leaving, and just like that, the night felt heavier than usual. After I reached my room, I texted her. She started by sharing her flight details. Her flight was at 1 p.m. and she would leave for the airport by 11 a.m. She told me to come too. At first, she had been excited, but now that the day had finally arrived, a quiet sadness had settled over her. She was also worried about our relationship. "Everyone says long distance is difficult, but we won't drift apart, okay?" She kept reassuring me. I left college at 10 p.m. and headed straight to the airport. When I called her, she hadn't reached yet, so I waited. A little later, my phone rang. "I'm here, come to gate number 2, she said. When I reached, her entire family was there, along with some friends I didn't know. Smriti, her best friend, was also present. They were all busy taking pictures. Then she saw me. She walked toward me, trying to smile, but I could see it wasn't real. Her usual warmth was replaced by an effort to hold back her emotions. Time slipped away too quickly, and soon it was time for her to enter. Her mother's eyes were filled with tears. Her own eyes had turned red, struggling to hold back the sadness, and then, unable to control herself any longer, she hugged me, right there in front of everyone. "Okay, please take care," was all she could say before picking up her luggage and heading inside. The entrance was a little far, so she kept turning back, waving at us until she reached the door. Just before stepping in, she turned towards me one last time with red, teary eyes. She gave me a soft smile and disappeared inside. At that moment, my heart did an involuntary flip. Reality finally hit me. Maybe my own eyes had turned misty, but I forced myself to hold back the tears. All I could do was stand there in silence, watching her leave. She had transit in Abu Dhabi and messaged me when she landed. Her final destination was Sydney, where she arrived around 11 a.m. a day after she had left. When she finally reached the place she would be staying, she called me, but her voice was different, soft, fragile, on the verge of breaking. "The moment I landed, I started missing home," she said, her voice laced with quiet sobs. "I had no idea what to do. How do you comfort someone from across the world?" "Give it time," I said gently. "Everything will be okay." But deep down, I knew no words could ease the emptiness she was feeling. I wasn't in her shoes, but I couldn't truly understand the pain of leaving everything behind. For the first week, she was busy getting a SIM card, visiting her college, setting into her new life. She called whenever she found time. "Once I get my SIM, we'll be able to talk anytime, anywhere," she said, trying to sound excited. I held on to that hope. Even as the distance between us grew wider, just as she had promised, we continued talking whenever we found the time. She would call me whenever she went out, showing me the places around her, sharing every little detail as if I was there with her. Because of her, I started learning the names of different places in Sydney. She lived in North Stratfield, and every morning I woke up to her call. I never discontinued my Wi-Fi at night because I knew she would call me at 6 a.m. Nepali time. Half asleep, I would answer, talking to her as I slowly get ready for class. After our calls, my days would pass in a blur of memories. Every road, every street, every alleyway felt like it held a piece of her. This continued for about 3 months. Then my 6th semester started and she got a job in Sydney. I had holidays for exam preparation, but she barely had any free time between her classes and work. The only break she got was a 2-hour gap between the two, and she would always call me then. Her work started early in the morning. By then, I would be half asleep, but by the time she finished, it would be around 10 to 11 p.m. in Nepal. Her college started at noon, and with the 4-hour 15-minute time difference between Nepal and Sydney, our schedules barely aligned. Yet, we made it work. She would call me at 11 a.m. and after talking for a while, I would study. Then she'd call me again at 4 p.m. and after that, I'd go back to studying. It became a routine. our new normal. She still hadn't fully adjusted to being alone. She missed her family, and no matter how much time had passed, that longing never faded. I could hear it in her voice, feel it in the pauses between our conversations. Sometimes, when the weight of everything became too much, she would say, "I shouldn't have come here." I would try to console her, giving her advice, telling her things would get better, but in the end, I always said, "Do whatever feels right for you." Even from miles away, I wanted to be there for her. But some distances can't be bridged with words alone. After my exams ended, I went to my family home for the holidays. When I was there, we didn't have as much time together. Sometimes I was busy with work, and other times when she called, I was with my family. It felt a little awkward talking to her in front of them, so I would just send her messages instead. To me, it didn't feel like a big difference, but to her, it did. She always insisted on video calls. Sometimes she even got mad, thinking I didn't want to talk to her. I would try to reassure her, saying it's not like that. Let's just chat today. But she would still get upset and leave the conversation. This pattern continued until Tihar. After the festival, college resumed and I returned to Kathmandu. But in just 1 month, so much had changed between me and Chandni. She started getting mad at me over the smallest things. She said I wasn't there for her when she was alone and needed me. Maybe she was right. In that 1 month, I had barely spoken to her over the phone, maybe 10 times, and even then, only for 5 or 10 minutes. We had already been physically apart, but now there was an emotional distance growing between us too. She had changed. She started believing that I didn't love her anymore. But I did. I loved her more than I could ever express. I just didn't know how to show it. We resumed talking like before, but something was different. Something unspoken lingered between us. It was only after I returned to Kathmandu that I found out she had started talking to someone else during that time. When I asked her why, she said, "Because when I needed someone, you weren't there." I felt like I had to share my happiness and sadness with someone who was. It hurt. But she insisted, "He's just a friend." I trusted her more than I trusted myself. I didn't need any explanation, but maybe she thought I felt bad, so she gave one anyway. And maybe deep down I knew something had already begun to change. My Chandni, who was once too shy to talk to anyone in Nepal, had now changed. In Sydney, she had developed a crush on someone and had started playfully teasing and chatting with others. But I didn't mind because I knew she loved me. As time passed, we began missing each other even more. She often said, "No matter what, I'll come to Nepal next year to see you." We had our share of small fights, but we always found a way to resolve them. Still, we both realized that a long-distance relationship was far from easy. My studies would be completed in a year, and she was also planning to return to Nepal around the same time. We had even dreamed of having a court marriage and then moving to Australia together. And if that wasn't possible, I had decided I would apply for Australia myself. As time passed, the day of our reunion grew closer, yet we found ourselves drifting apart. She wasn't happy with anything I did. She didn't like it when I talked to anyone else, so for her sake, I stopped talking to other girls. After all, she was the most important person in my life. If we fought in the morning, by night we would be laughing and talking again. But slowly, our fights began to last longer. First a day, then a week, then 2. We went weeks without speaking, and when we finally did, she would say, "So now you can stay without talking to me too." Her words hurt. She had begun to see everything in the worst possible way, and I didn't know how to respond. I even started questioning myself. Was I really that bad? This cycle of fighting and making up became our routine. Whenever I lost hope, she would put effort into fixing things, and when she felt distant, I would be the one trying to bring us back together. This cycle of fighting and making up became our routine. Whenever I lost hope, she would put effort into fixing things, and when she felt distant, I would be the one trying to bring us back together. 9 months had passed since she left. One evening, I received a message from her, sent a photo. At that time, we were in the middle of another fight and hadn't spoken in days. Seeing her name on my screen made my heart race. I was relieved, even happy, that she had reached out first. But when I opened the chat, my excitement quickly faded. It was a screenshot of my old messages with Prakriti. The conversations dated back 6 months to the time I had visited my family for Dasai. In that chat, we had mentioned the kiss that had happened in the movie hall with Prakriti. Chandni had my social media password. She had found the message, sent me the screenshot, and simply wrote, "Oh, so you still talk about these things." And just like that, she stopped talking to me again. I tried to explain. I messaged her over and over, admitting my mistake, hoping she would listen. Days passed. I kept trying, and finally, after what felt like forever, she spoke to me again. She loved me. It wasn't easy for her to walk away either. She spoke to me under the condition that I would never repeat my past mistake. But even after that, our conversations began to feel more like arguments than anything else. It seemed like every time we fought, the mistake was always mine. No matter what happened, I was the one to blame. She never initiated a conversation. It was always me, trying to break the silence, trying to reach out. And in the moments when we hadn't spoken, I discovered she was talking with others. What hurt the most was that she started mentioning that one of them was her crush. It made me feel terrible, and I expressed that to her, but her response was always the same. "You taught me this." She would tell me, "When I needed your presence, he was there for me. Now I can't even talk to him." And then, if there was something else other than that, "I would have left you the moment I saw your chat with Prakriti." Her words got deep, and I didn't know how to respond. It was like everything I tried to do wasn't enough, and everything I said seemed to make things worse. She would constantly point out my mistakes, and I found myself questioning whether her behavior should be overlooked in light of the mistakes I had made. No matter how she treated me, I still kept talking to her, smiling and holding on to the belief that she loved me. After her term break, we spoke every day. But as time went on, her work shifts shifted from late night hours, 11-12 p.m. to 2-3 a.m. I wasn't sure if she was truly busy with work or if she was just distancing herself from me, but I was okay with whatever she said. She'd tell me she went somewhere after work, or sometimes that she was too tired to talk and went to bed early. Before, we used to talk until 3-4 a.m. in Australia. Now, it felt we hardly talked at all. I used to wake up to her call every morning, but now I woke up to the alarm I had set. I used to send her good morning messages with a smiley emoji, but over time those messages went unnoticed until late at night. Sometimes my good morning message was followed by my own good night message hours later. There were times when I'd call her and she'd reject the call, saying she'd call me back, but she never did. It felt like I had lost the right to be upset, like my ego had disappeared into some unknown place. Chandni would say, "No, you haven't done anything wrong. It's nothing. I just don't want to talk nowadays." But I had no idea what was happening. She'd insist there was nothing wrong, yet she wouldn't talk to me. Despite all of that, I continued to wait for her call every day. Maybe I was foolish enough to forget about myself in the hope of getting her back. I was losing my own smile in my attempt to make hers shine again. "I'll call you in a bit," she said, but the days turned into a week without a call. I tried to reach her around 10 o'clock her time, and when she finally picked up, she spoke for only 2 minutes before saying she was tired and hanging up. I thought maybe she really was exhausted, so I didn't press the issue. But then another week passed and we had yet another fight. That night, when she told me she was tired, she mentioned that she was with her crush. He was about to travel to Nepal, so she went to meet him. They stayed at the station chatting until morning, and when his train left, she returned to her room. She often said things she didn't mean when she was angry, so I tried not to take it seriously. I wasn't ready to believe it, so I called her again. She repeated the same story on the phone, but this time she sent me photos. It was in that moment I realized my Chandni had been with someone else all night, and no matter how hard I tried to push it out of my mind, I couldn't. I just couldn't. Thoughts swirled in my head and my heart grew heavy. It felt like my stomach was burning, like I was losing her. My belief in her shattered just like that. I couldn't find the words to say anything. As I looked at the photos of her with someone else, tears began to fall from my eyes. What I was feeling at that moment can't be put into words. I was in utter misery, but she didn't seem to care. Instead, she threatened me, saying, "If you don't believe me, you can leave me." I didn't know how to respond to that. After all the lies, the respect I once had for her, respect that had once been sky high, dropped to the ground. From that day forward, I stopped laughing. I had hoped that after all the mess, she would try to reach out to talk things through, but she didn't. It was my mistake to have expected that. Even after all of this, we were still together. It was me who kept trying to make our relationship work while she didn't put in the effort at all. I found myself missing the dreams we had built together more than I missed her. The places where I once saw a future for both of us, I couldn't bear to imagine them being filled by someone else. The thought of it was unbearable. I simply didn't want to let go. Our relationship, which had been on and off for a very long time, ended in a way I can't even pinpoint. I was the one putting in the effort while she had already given up. And at some point, without even realizing it, I stopped trying to. The day I stopped, our relationship ended for good. Did that 1 month really create such a vast distance between us? Was my one mistake talking with Prakriti again so unforgivable compared to all of hers? Was she right when she made me so anxious that I couldn't even focus on my exams? I still have so many questions left to ask Chandni, but now I no longer need the answers. Maybe I prefer them to remain unanswered. Even today, a part of me wants to talk to her, but today, I am more important to myself. My memories matter more than she does. The streets we walk together hold more meaning now. My bike's backseat feels more significant. My past is important. Those words I pour into my memories are important. My pen writing about her is important. For her, our love had turned to ashes the moment she sent me a video of our photo burning, the one I had given to her with so much love. For her, our love had ended the day she lied to me, the day she saw the tears in my eyes, yet still slept peacefully unbothered. Every tear I shared for her holds meaning. Those sleepless nights spent missing her are etched deep within me. Even now, when I glance at the watch she gave me, I can still see her smile in my mind. The bittersweet memories we shared, they matter more to me than she ever could now. They are not just moments of the past, they are fragments of a love that once was cherished more than her. I know I may never be able to forget the memories we created, but I see my future in embracing them and moving forward. I've learned to find laughter in those moments. Memories that once brought me tears are now the reasons I smile. I find myself staring at her profile, but today I no longer care if the green light beside her name is on or off. The girl who once asked what she gained from sleepless nights spent talking to me is still online 3 or 4 a.m. But now it no longer matters to me. For me, now love stands on one side and my self-respect on the other. And above all, my self-respect comes first. I no longer care whether she laughs or not, whether she's happy or not, but still I hope she finds happiness. I no longer hold on to the dreams we once wove together. Yet, sometimes, when I sit alone, I still glance at our photos and wonder, what if I hadn't left her side for that 1 month? Would we still be together? What if I had never spoken to Prakriti again? Would things have been different? What if I hadn't trusted her so much? Would I have been spared these tears? What if we had both understood that mistakes are a part of being human? What if we had realized that every relationship has its ups and downs? What if I had held on just a little longer? Would everything have been fine when she returned to Nepal? What if I had stopped her from leaving? What if I had never fallen for her eyes? What if I had been able to express my love the way my heart felt it? What if she had been able to read the love in my silence? What if there were no memories left of her? What if I have never seen her at all? What if?